Hey, Thief. I'm doing pretty good. I'm over here doing a live broadcast right now. Okay, I'm gonna call you when I get done.
Somebody mess with one of them, well, you messing with all of them. You ain't gonna bully him, I know that, because I'm not gonna let you bully nobody over here. So you can take them bully tactics somewhere else, or we can go ahead and get it over with right now. It's up to you. It don't matter to me one way or the other. I want the smoke the same way you do. I want peace the same way you do. If you want the smoke, I want the smoke. If you want peace, I want peace. And we can do it however. That's how I was. I'm not gonna look for you, but I'm gonna bump into you.
Yeah, and we
And when
ain't
I
gonna
bump
push.
into you, you're gonna remember me.
Yeah, like I remember I used to tell like in the set, I used to tell people, hey, don't if I saw a dude pressing him and I say, oh yeah, he don't and the dude act like he don't want it, I say, I let him make it, cause he don't want it, let him make it. He's nigga was talking first, but now you press him and he oh man, now Hey, so don't, we ain't never press nobody too hard that they want you don't want no trouble. But don't start no shit, it won't be no shit, right? You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yeah.
I'm bone crusher, baby. I ain't never scared. I
Yeah.
ain't never scared.
Hey, we about to get up out of here, man. Hey, we got 1,200 people in here, man. Raw Hayes don't do it for the money, but we got this Cash App on there, man. If y'all want to show some love, everybody send them $1. That'll be 1,200, man. That'll put them in the game so we can keep these. We got to keep Chief good so we can get these updates on the land, man. So because we're in a critical time now, we're going to a critical time. 2025, a lot of prophecies have been said to happen that year, like about the earthquake, a whole bunch of things. The switching of the government. There's a whole not bunch of stuff. So we need to stay live, stay alert for this coming up. 2030, Doc spoke about 2030, the end of the devil's rule, the complete end of his world. So we looking at the parasites being removed, whole bunch of stuff going on. So we need to stay updated. Shout out to everybody that's came in, man. Hit that like, hit that
And
subscribe button. What you got to say, Rod? You got to say you want to say?
parents, talk to your children and let them know that the National Guard not here for us to stay out them people way. Because we don't want them to get caught in something that they totally innocent, but they get treated like the enemy. If they do the martial law, just follow the curfew because there's going to be some dastardly deeds taking place under the cover of darkness. There's going to be a whole bunch of good men doing some real bad stuff to some truly wicked individuals. And they're not taking no prisoners and they're not asking no permission. It's not going to be pretty. Y'all need to know this now. Y'all need to sit them boys down, have a conversation with them. Wherever you at, make sure you're going to be where you're going to be at the curfew. You don't want to be transitioning during the curfew and get caught up with the wrong crowd. We don't want that to happen. This is about them judges, them lawyers, and some of them got private military of mercenaries that they've paid very well to not let these National Guards people take them in. You may have shootouts between different factions of private military forces and National Guard in your city, but I don't know which city it might be. It could be any one of them. They everywhere and they about to get cleaned up. These private military, they caught one in upstate New York a couple of years ago, and it was staffed with a whole bunch of Chinese orphans. And it was under the control of George Herbert Walker Bush through his CIA connection. And they blew it up. I posted about it when it was fresh, but they blew it up. If I run across the post in my memories or something, I'll repost it on Facebook. But they blew that damn military base up. They had something like 2,000 soldiers up there. So it can be gunfights in the streets, but it don't have to have nothing to do with us unless we go putting ourselves in other folks' business. Don't got nothing to do with us. Let them clean this month up. Don't get caught in the crossfire. Don't be collateral damage, because there's something in the military during warfare called collateral damage. Just because you got switches, they got some switches for your switches. They got way more stuff to fight this war than we do in the hood.
Right.
And it's some niggas in the hood they coming to get too. Believe that. They've been doing a lot of dirt for a long time, and people know who they is. You know who them dirt dealers is in your local town that don't nobody like to talk about because they're scared they're going to come up missing.
Right.
They coming to get them. They know who they is. There ain't no hide. Ain't nowhere to run. Ain't nowhere to duck. Ain't nowhere to hide.
That's deep.
They coming to get them. I'm telling y'all now, they coming to get them. All the dirt dealers, these people, this military, with the assistance the National Guard has been given the permission to utilize special forces from the U.S. military branches, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, to do this operation to get these MFs off the land. And they're not who you think. They're not going to be based on skin color.
Right.
Because they're going to look every color under the sun. Wherever people at, it's going to be somebody that look like that in the cleanup. But they dirt speak for itself. Most of us know who them dirty players is in our local town. They coming to get us. You thought because of the whispers that they was going untouchable, they probably didn't got arrested 1,000 times and they never did more than 24 hours.
Right.
They know who they is. Trust me. Just like they knew which chiefs to kill when they was murdering us, they know who to get off the land now that we reclaimed it back. So don't let our children get caught up in that. It's not our war.
Facts. And on that
and
note,
they gonna reserve the right to deputize the tribe to aid in the cleanup. That means you might have a whole faction of Pyru in Pyru territory cleaning Pyru territory up, because they would rather for you to clean your own hood up than them come in and do it for you.
Facts.
Right? It's gonna make Vice Lord's gonna be cleaning up Vice Lord's neighborhood. GD's gonna be cleaning up GD neighborhood. But it's gonna happen. This gonna get cleaned up one way or another, because we done with the shenanigans.
Right.
We just waiting on the rollout now. Something big's supposed to go down for Christmas, y'all. It's supposed to be some big good stuff this time.
Right.
I don't know what it's gonna be. They might start getting everybody checks. I don't know. But it won't be under the old regime.
Right.
Because their system is over. The IRS just got audited. They $545 billion missing.
Damn. We know where it ain't missing. We know where it's at. The
well, you know, they can't account for it. Now, at first it was the Federal Reserve couldn't account for it. Now the IRS can't account for it damn near just as much. So that's almost $1.5 billion missing just for nothing. It was like 1.2 billion, 1.3 billion, something like that. That's a lot of money.
They always harassing everybody else about what they got going on.
But that's the money they supposed to be fixing our roads, building our infrastructure, giving everybody lights, gas, and water to their house where you supposed to have no bill. They using the money for their stuff.
Yeah, I noticed America never get really built up. The only thing that's getting built up is corporations. They never build America educational system where we can be like China. Like China, the way they everything hands-on, everything free, colleges, like everything free. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of education, I want you to show them this one more lady before we go named Charlotte Isherby on YouTube. This is the lady that's running down the entire fraud of the No Child Left Behind money-making scheme of the government. And they was taking the wealth from, like, for instance, Detroit had a surplus of like, I think it was like $5 million or $5 billion in educational funding. John Engler was the governor. Went to his lobby and told them to decentralize Detroit's Department of Education. Detroit sued him, took him to court, won, but they couldn't give the money back because they said they used it to build a prison in Ionia Bellamy Creek.
Cool video we did, right? And so I went and got the book. It's called The Liberty Dumb Down America, and they actually break down on how these black hand guys were going to keep us in a state of workers and employees, pretty much, and never teach us how to own or no kind of, you know. I actually
Perpetual consumers, worker consumers. Because you working and you generating the income, and as a consumer, you giving them your income to live your life. It's a trick. It's a Rockefeller program. It's a couple of books. It's one called "Boys Will Be Boys" by a Jewish lady. It's another one called I forgot what it's called, but it's a whole lot of them. If you put that book in the Liberty Dumbing Down of America and scroll down, it's gonna have a whole bunch of them about how the educational system is designed to dumb us down and control us. Right? I think one of them is called "Destruction of Western Education" or something like that. Then you got to remember, you also got the Nathan and Julia Hare material on the education of our children. You got the Hockey Mahu Booty information on our children. You got the Amos Wilson information, Awaken the Natural Genius of the Black Child, etc., dealing with our children. So we also have, if go to there and type in the other Bush family. The other Bush family, the sister educated their own children. They all graduated from university in their teens. Right? So I'm gonna leave it at that, Elder. I'm gonna let you take us on home from here.
Hey man, we about to get up out of here. We will be back. Once we gonna keep eye on what's going on the land. We will be back to give you another smoke signal if we see anything change drastically. As of right now, everybody is running and hide now. You know, getting the hell out of Dodge. You can feel the energy change. After Trump won, you can feel the energy change. Like the evil is like going down a little bit. The evil energy.
I told you it was a shooting spike on election day. That's an energy shift of itself. We between two portals right now. We just went in and came out. So we went into the 10-10 portal in October. That flips out on 0101. Right? Then you had your 1101. Then it flipped 1110. Right? And the next one is 111 is the exit from that one. So we in these portals right now, which is artificial time constructs in order for energy to find paths of least resistance to materialize mass manifestation energies. So if your manifestation is in line with whatever is materializing through the other side of the portal, your manifestation will be accelerated because it's part of the collective, it being in agreement with manifesting something. So a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, we're gonna come back. We're gonna keep them updated. We about to get up out of here, man. We live, we lit, and like I say, we're gonna win this war. Why? Because we can dance.
Man, we are in the building tonight. We are in the digital building tonight. Family, make sure you hit that like button. It's getting ready to go down. It's gonna be a legendary night. I talked about this night for a little while now. I said I told you I wanted to put it together, and I put it together. So yeah, without further ado, let me introduce back to the platform all of these brothers have been holding it down on this platform this year a lot. They've been doing their thing, so it's an honor to have them all on here together as we continue to celebrate this paradigm shift that we see happening right now. I want to welcome back B-Dell, Rod Hayes, and RFG, the chosen one. Welcome, y'all.
Peace.
Sir, thanks for having me on.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so family, well, I'm hearing a little echo. All right, so this ain't gonna be an ordinary conversation. So you might hear some wild shit. Rod Hayes might say Joe Budden's a robot again. You might hear some real wild shit. So just be prepared, because this ain't going to be your normal conversation. This is and that's good. That's a real good thing, because truth, we've been lied to so much that truth will seem like a science fiction book. So let's get this thing started. I want to give a shout out to the name of the show was inspired. New Species was actually inspired Bobby Hemmett by Bobby Hemmett. I remember when I was younger, Bobby Hemmett used to talk about. Oh, I didn't even notice you had on the shirt. B-Dell. Yeah, damn, I didn't even know. I just noticed that. But Bobby Hemmett used to talk about all the alchemical process of what happened to us in America. There was a new species that was being born. There was a new people that was going to be birthed from that. All the mixing, all the everything that happened. It was like we're like this big alchemical experiment that happened. And you see what we've become. And shit, man, you're gonna see what we'll become in the next 500 years. So shout out to the soul of the brother Bobby Hemmett. And with that being said, let's get this thing started. How y'all doing, Rod, B-Dell, RFG? How y'all doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing good, doing great.
Indeed. Family, make sure, I see we got about 1,500 people already. Make sure you hit that like button so you know the whole world could come join us tonight and participate in this conversation. All right, so let's get this thing started. Everything happening, the DNA upgrades, the ascension process, the solar flares, the just so many things happening, the eclipses that's going on. We feeling inside, people hearing their ears ringing. People are having abilities become active that they didn't have before. RFG did a video recently that got snatched, and I had to throw it on Patreon because it got snatched. Y'all remember that from 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about that. So this is like a part 2 to that. What I want to ask you is that, all right, so we study ancient history. Rod Hayes, I don't know if I heard Rod, I heard Billy talk about it. I don't know if B-Dell touched on it. I don't know if RFG touched on it, but there's characters in antiquity. Let's use characters, the Anunnaki characters. I don't know if it was Inky and Lil, whoever. They said some of these characters put a cap on our DNA, right? They said they put a cap. Say that.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. So
they actually stripped back the telomeres to shorten the lifespan.
Right.
And they did what's called a DNA graft to give us a worship gene, so that the guy reverence will be able to entrance us under a spell of hypnosis.
Right.
It'll be encoded in your DNA to respond in that manner.
So one of the reasons for the spell of hypnosis is that we have this spark of divinity within us. We have the spark of divine source, Big Mama. We got this spark within us that is more powerful than anything in the universe. So Bobby talked about, many people talked about the power of the imagination. There's something that people on the internet talk about that's called psychic surgery. Now, they say the brain can't distinguish between reality and imagination. So if we use this God power called our imagination, people say they have had psychic surgery performed on them by entities while they were asleep and woke up and was a complete different being. I want to talk to you about the ability. Like I said, this ain't a normal conversation. The ability for us to use psychic surgery, use our imagination. We're going to theta mode before we go to sleep. And on us, our DNA, to reverse whatever spell was put on us in our DNA. Moving forward, us being a new being, a new species, a new people, is this something that y'all see that could be beneficial for us to reverse the curse or reverse, as Rod Hayes says, the conjure?
Yes. Well, that worship gene was basically the vesicular monomind transporter 2 gene.
Yeah.
And that basically has a hardwire connection to where it gives you the propensity to believe in things outside of yourself. So you have two different forms of ether that's based on the creation of the mind that is comprised of the cybersphere and the ethosphere.
Right.
And those two different realms have the ability to manipulate the neurotransmitters to where it's able to reconstruct back into its original form. So that's when you tap into, like, as far as like your higher abilities, is when you stuck in super chiasmatic nucleus that works in tandem with the cosmic clock. So all that works in conjunction as far as like putting a cap consciousness that is acclimated to the firmament and the cap and an encryption over the brain, basically. So once we tap into those energies, that's when we're able to tap into our true power that's connected to the etheric network and dark matter energy.
Rod, RG, one of y'all want to touch on that?
Go ahead, RG.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with what the brother B-Dale was saying. And I believe whatever took place on a cosmic level in 2012 was the greatest emission of light codes in this particular realm in the past 2,000 years. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it. You know, I'm grateful to have received many of those light codes, and for me to have been on this journey to acquire the knowledge that I was able to acquire, and to be able to wake up as many people as possible. And I think a loophole around that particular gene is simply the hemoglobin in the DNA inside of the not the DNA inside of the cell. There is a organelle called the hemoglobin, and we have what's called iron, the iron atom in our hemoglobin. So every time we breathe, we take in the oxygen atoms. The oxygen atoms steal electrons from the iron in our hemoglobin. And every time oxygen atoms steal electrons from our iron in our blood, we lose energy. We lose vital energy that's used to keep our cells functioning. So in the ancient days, before this planet was invaded, the original beings had carbon and the hemoglobin, and carbon is able to bond to oxygen, and it's able to carry oxygen throughout the body. And when it releases oxygen, the oxygen doesn't steal an electron from the carbon atom. So we were able to breathe oxygen, but not lose electrons. So we were able to live for thousands of years, just like the trees, over 6,000 years ago.
Right.
You gotta also remember that the iron was replacing the magnesium in the transfer in the blood in order to cause biological entropy. So the biological entropy is the breakdown that the leaching of the electrons is doing. It's causing it to deteriorate. The iron begins to rust.
Okay.
And then the interaction in the cells make the pigmentations of the melanocytes a brown tint instead of a shades of blue and green. Right?
I see.
When they did this in the laboratory, we didn't use so they crashed the fourth dimension into the third dimension in order to split your consciousness in two dimensions simultaneously. This was the great fear of CERN at the close of the age, because that's what created the infinity loop to put you in what's called perpetual reincarnation cycle.
Okay.
You're playing out the same story over and over on a different timeline every time you come back, until you realize that you've been psychologically and spiritually trapped into a cycles within cycles matrix in order for the mind to lose track of itself internally and seek itself externally in the realm of opposites.
Yep. Yep.
When
I'm with you on that.
So when they tell you we're in a simulation, they right, but we in a 3D manifestation, and the 3D manifestation is still tied to prime source. Right? The characteristics of the simulation is shown in the epigenetic programming. Everything is coming from outside of the body into the body. Your brain is not your mind, but your mind uses your brain to translate mental stuff into a understanding in the 3D world. So your brain is a supercomputer translating spiritual data into the 3D realm in order for you to understand what you're looking at.
Exactly.
So now you want to talk to yourself. That's why I seen Dr. Be Serious at the beginning, and he was talking about the kinesthesia of the self. Right? It's been a long known in the self-help world that if you're making a bad decision, your body gets weak. If you're making good decisions, your body becomes strong. And that knowledge can allow you to ask yourself if you're making the best choice for yourself.
Now when you say, my bad for interrupting, but when you say good and bad, do you mean high vibrational versus low vibrational?
Exactly. Because those things that we consider bad and those things we consider good are only separated by the frequency they come in on. That's part of the reality, right? All death, I mean, the frequency of death, but it got branches. So now all of the frequencies of death can be broke up into the gunshot victim, the stab victim, the accident victim, but they all got branches on the death tree. Natural causes, unnatural causes, right? You start narrowing down the branches because you have to be able to put the information in a digestible format, and the more people you can explain it to, then the more people you connect on a mental awareness level in order to control the great egregore. That's why they say knowledge is king.
Facts. Okay, so in this realm, one of the big things that people focus on, have always focused on, was manifesting things into this realm, bringing things into existence. Some people call it magic. Some people call it science. There have been many names. Some people call it alchemy. There have been many names for having something in your mind, and then it may be in my mind. I'll give you an example. I had the Gathering of the Masters in my mind one day, 1 year, and then next thing I know, boom, there's 2,000 people in a room, and I see B-Del, and I see B-Del there. You know what I mean? It's just all the master teachers there, but that shit was in my mind just a couple of years ago, just strictly in my mind. So what I want to ask you about, I remember I had a conversation with Brother Polite. I'm gonna bring him up because I got to use an example, so I want to bring him up. I had a conversation with him many years ago, and I'm like, "Yo, how you able to manifest so much, man?" And he told me, he said, and B-Del recently said something that reminded me of what he told me. He said, "Yo, Rich, yeah, I use platonic solids." He was like, "Yo." He was like, depending on what I'm thinking, I use a different shape. I visualize a different shape depending on the emotion of what I'm thinking. And I forgot what he said. But he was like, if I want to get this, then I use this shape. If I want to get that, I use that shape. If I want to get that, I use that shape. And then he was like, yo, I just imagine, just like you send an email to somebody, I send an etheric email out there. I'm like, but like, what the fuck? I didn't expect all of that. Nigga told me he sent etheric emails. He uses different shapes depending on emotion. So in terms of the topic of bringing things into existence in this world, I mean, motherfuckers cut chickens, sacrifice babies. We have done everything that you could think of in humanity to bring things into this realm. They say the new magic is the mind magic. So let's talk about mind magic and platonic solids. tell me, how do you use, what's up with platonic solids and manifestation based on what I just said?
Well,
Okay.
I'll take real quick. Well, when you're talking about the platonic solids, the best way to encounter your tunnel vision is connected to manifestation. That is your interstellar vortex portal in order to tap into that energy. So it's all based upon the mind magic.
Absolutely, absolutely. Every single physical object that we can look at in this universe, in this realm, at first was a thought. Especially when we talk about buildings, ornaments, objects, inventions, everything that we look at in this society. At first, it was existing in the fourth dimensional realm. So, I believe B-Dell he's dead on with that assessment.
Yeah, because that's connected to the mental plane, which is called, I think that's called the abode of the Most High, I believe, when you go on the path of my suit, after you become a neophyte.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my take on that.
Absolutely.
Rod, you want to close that out, Rod?
Yeah. So Bedell gave you what's called the mechanics of the operation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What I'm about to tell you here is what you're building using those mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
You know that symbol that they call it looked like the star of life. That's what it's called. It looked like the lotus flower.
The hexa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Platonic solids, when encapsulated with a thought form, each one of them have a place in there that you can only see when you look at it holographically. Now remember, the observer collapses the wave into a particle. And if the observer infuses the collapse with intention, the collapse is going to arrive at the destination of what you perceive fourth dimensional mind matrix. The fourth dimension mind matrix is drawing all of the information from what you put in. So spiritual people, once you understand what each one of the shapes means, the energy that they carry, and you use it according to its own frequency, you using it like a conjure tool, like witches use and magicians use magic wands. It becomes a tool that you don't need to use in the 3D world, because now you can use the understanding of the frequency of the platonic solids to encapsulate it with the desire that match that frequency, and then you can psychically send it back to its position in the star of life, and it's going to project your path back to you in the mirror effect, as above, so below. 6/9 in the balance.
Very interesting.
It's all about perspective and angle. So he Brother Polite was giving you a science.
Right.
Brother Vidal just told you the mechanics of how the science works.
Yeah.
Right. And what I was just telling you is what they doing that y'all not being explained between the two. Right. So it's like reading tarot cards. The tarot cards is the training wheels for the psychic perception to be honed in. This is with anything you manifesting. If you don't make any effort, it just delays the result. And this is why they say if you take one step toward God, God take 2 steps towards you. Because you mirroring yourself in your manifestation, you harnessing your God frequency by using the power of your mind and